If you missed my overview of the Dewey Decimal Classification System, then check out part 1 of the series in the playlist below. Today we'll be covering the first of the 10 major divisions of the Dewey Decimal Classification, which is general knowledge. General knowledge covers the call numbers from 000 to 099. So there are 99 total subdivisions in this category. We're going to cover the 10 main ones. Usually this is the first section in a library's nonfiction collection. These books cover humanity's accumulated knowledge in general. So that's books about books, books about information science, anything that covers knowledge but isn't really subject specific. For the most part, the books in this division talk about our theories and how overall knowledge is divided and organized. It also talks about the theories and philosophies of knowledge. Is that clear as mud? Yep, usually it is for me too. Maybe it will become a little clearer as we examine the 10 major subdivisions. If while I'm talking you see a subdivision that you would like for me to do a deeper dive into, let me know in the comments below and I'll work on that when I can. The first of the 10 subdivisions is 000 through 009. This covers general knowledge and computer science. Naturally, when this section first began, computer science was not a big part of this subdivision because when Dewey invented it in the 1860s, computer science wasn't a big thing yet. But it sure is now. When I went to the public library to pull books for this section, there were a few up-to-date books on computer science because, computer science has to be updated like every year, and that's expensive. Libraries do the best they can. I wasn't thinking clearly, though, when I made my selection of the book to show you to represent this section. I was thinking high interest to me and not high relevance. But books on computer languages go here and books on information. So an example would be Chaos, The Making of a New Science by James Gleick, which was published in 1987. But no, the book I pulled from my public library that seeks to meet the needs of its patrons is Sasquatch, Legend Meets Science by Jeff Meldrum, which was published in 2006. All the links I mentioned will be posted in the show notes below. I haven't read any of the books I'm talking about today except for the one I wrote. I haven't had time, and in some cases, I don't have the interest, quite honestly, to read these books. But one day, I wouldn't mind reading some of them. Now, why in the world, you may be asking yourself, would a book on Sasquatch be in the general knowledge section? Well, simply put, there's nowhere else to put it. Most books on UFOs and monsters go in the 0000s because we don't know enough about them to place them somewhere else. We don't know if they're objectively real in this dimension. We don't know if they're real in other dimensions. We don't know if they're tricks that our mind plays on us, and so on and on. So they go in 000. The next subdivision is 010 through 019. And this is the bibliography subdivision. As you probably know, bibliographies are just lists of books. My book, Library Lens, Biographies, Autobiographies, and Memoirs, and my first book, Library Lens, Curated Collection of Superlative Nonfiction, both go into this subdivision because they contain lists of books with summaries. The subject matter in both those books is all over the map, and this is one of my favorite subdivisions in any library. 020 through 029 is Library and Information Science. So books about how libraries operate go here, of course, and I like browsing this section as well, but there are books available there that can help anyone. The book I chose from the public library, and a book I would really like to read, is The Joy of Search, a Google Insider's Guide to Going Beyond the Basics by research scientist Daniel M. Russell. The book was published in 2019. Now, we all know how to search on Google, but have you ever had the frustrating experience of finding things completely different from what you were looking for when you started your search? Have you ever found similar things but struggled to locate the specific information you're looking for? That's what Russell wants to help with. He says knowing some basic principles and rules can help anyone, not just scholars, become experts at finding the exact information that they're looking for on Google. Sounds good to me, and I always like to learn new tricks. So it's possible I may renew this book and give it a skim later on. 030 through 039 are the general encyclopedic works. Regular encyclopedia sets, back when libraries bought them in print regularly, were placed in the reference section under the 030 call number. Sometimes libraries would place old sets in the regular collection in the nonfiction section under the 030 so that people could check them out like regular books and take them home. I doubt they do that much anymore because encyclopedia sets take up a lot of room and they get outdated really quickly. But there are all sorts of books that cover general knowledge about all sorts of things, and these books are shelved in this subdivision. The one I checked out is a gift book by Carolyn Taggart that was published by Reader's Digest in 2009. It's called I Used to Know That. Stuff You Forgot from School. It's divided into the major subject groupings that we had to learn, like English, math, science, and history, and at the very end is general studies, where she talks a bit about art and music and other courses that were added in for enrichment. It's a fun little book to browse through. 040 through 049 is unassigned, and this happens all through the Dewey Decimal Classification System. Occasionally, these numbers are left open for subjects that fit the general category, but may not be specifically provided for elsewhere. And when new technology or historical changes make changing sections or adding new sections necessary, these unassigned sections can be reassigned new topics. In the original 1876 edition of the Dewey Decimal System, 040 through 049 was where the polyography books were shelved. They were books about cryptography or writing in codes. 050 through 059 is for general serial publications and books about them. A serial is anything, of course, that's published on a regular basis that adds new content and information as it's published, like magazines and journals. Most public libraries don't have a lot of those books. 060 through 069 is general organizations and museology. I hope I'm pronouncing museology correctly. Those are books about museums and how to operate them. But the organizations that it's talking about are associations of all sorts, like nonprofits and for-profit organizations. If a library has books on organizations or how they're structured and the rules and things like that, they go here. One of the few books my library had from this section was Robert's Rules of Order, but I chose to check out The Complete Idiot's Guide to Robert's Rules. This book is by Nancy Sylvester. I completely understand why these rules are necessary, but I think reading and learning about them would be a snoozer for me. But if I had to run a meeting following parliamentary procedure, I would love to have a book like this on hand. Here's what it says the book is about. You're no idiot, of course. You know there needs to be a sense of order when conducting professional meetings. And you know that people who understand parliamentary procedure often get their way. But with so many bylaws and officers to work with, you may find yourself ruled out of order. Don't move to dismiss yourself. The Complete Idiot's Guide to Robert's Rules will take you minute by minute through the process of not only conducting a meeting, but also getting your point across. I don't know about you. I've only had to run meetings by parliamentary procedure a few times. It is daunting until you get used to it. Subdivision 070 through 079 is, this is a lot, documentary, educational, news media, journalism, and publishing. Many libraries have a fair number of books in this subdivision because it covers a lot of ground. Some of my favorite books have been placed here, like Personal History, Katharine Graham's stellar memoir. Katharine Graham owned the Washington Post for years, so she fits in under journalism and publishing. But the book I checked out was The Reporter Who Knew Too Much: The Mysterious Death of What's My Line star and media icon Dorothy Kilgallen by legal analyst Mark Shaw, which was published in 2016. In 1965, Kilgallen was investigating the assassination of John F. Kennedy when she was found dead, the official report said, of an overdose of alcohol and barbiturates. The death was suspect from the start, but it was never investigated, and rumors have circulated that she was murdered ever since. This is another book that may be turned into the library and renewed when I'm finished. It sounds completely fascinating. And if I'm going to read true crime, I usually like to read it in the summer for some reason. So yeah. 080 through 089 are general collections. And when they say general collections, they're talking about collections of parts of work or words or quotes by either groups of people like Native Americans or by one person. The book I checked out is The New Quotable Einstein, collected and edited by Alice Calaprice. This book covers all sorts of topics. Einstein talks about himself, his family, education, academic freedom, life, music, Judaism, pacifism, religion. It goes on and on and on. So I'm going to read you a couple of quotes from this book. The first is from the section on humankind. He said, "There is only one road to true human greatness, the road through suffering." Okay, and he also has a quote later on miscellaneous subjects. This is on pipe smoking. Pipe smoking contributes to a somewhat calm and objective judgment in all human affairs. I don't smoke a pipe, so I don't know if he's right about that or not, but I suspect he knows what he's talking about. And the final subdivision in this section is 090 through 099, and that's manuscripts and rare books. This is a very interesting section in my opinion. I had the honor last spring of taking a tour of the rare book section of the Library of Congress with one of the librarians who works in that division, and it was heady stuff. It was amazing, the things that they had, things that you would never see anywhere else. Most public libraries have few books on manuscripts and rare books because it's not something patrons ask for very often. So imagine my surprise when I found this beautiful book in my library. Edith Roth's Medieval Book Illumination in Europe, The Collections of the German Democratic Republic, published by the incomparable W.W. Norton and Company in 1966. I'm just going to show you different plates, the cover and different plates while I'm talking about this book. The cover, of course, is stunning, and the plates are in black and white, and some are in color, and they're referenced at the end. She talks about the history of manuscript illumination, in which gorgeous illustrations were hand-painted inside the books. Manuscript illumination, she says, began in ancient Egypt, but reached its height in the Middle Ages. Her first and earliest example is from somewhere after 500 CE, and examples go on through the 16th century, that is the end of the 16th century. Most of the book is plates, and it's stunning. The text is plainly written and easy to understand. I'd like to add here that books about banned books, forgeries, hoaxes, or books about books that are in a unique format are also in this section, and people do love to read about oddities. So that's the general knowledge section. Do you have any thoughts on this? Is there a book that you've read that would belong here that you've particularly enjoyed and would like to recommend? If so, leave a comment below so we can all learn about it. Be sure to like and subscribe if you'd like to see other videos like this one. And until next time, happy reading!